You see? Now, one of the most unfortunate things is the people that have that should have taken a stand against this whole scenario have been found wanting. You see, we're living in very strange days. Very strange days. Preachers who once spoke passionately and fondly, seemingly fondly, I must add seemingly, about Jesus, the Christ, are now with the same passion and fondness speaking about COVID-19. COVID-19 has taken up the place where once Jesus was in their lives. And now, their world, their thoughts, their plans, their attitudes revolve around COVID-19. No longer Jesus, COVID-19. So you see, they've got a new Lord, a new God in their lives. It's called COVID-19. While Jesus and the conviction that they seemingly had about him is long gone. You see, even if you believed the narrative of some of these people, there is a way prescribed in the scriptures. I'm telling you, there's a way prescribed in the scriptures on how we as children of God, especially as ministers of God, ought to react during scenarios like this. Because you see, if we take, I'm telling you, first go to John chapter 3 verse 14. John chapter 3 verse 14. It says, this is how you respond. It says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, this is when the children of Israel were being plagued a lot. And the remedy was not fear all over. The remedy was this. It says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man, even so must Jesus be lifted up. Not fear be lifted up, even so must the author of faith be lifted up. Verse 15. That whosoever believeth in him should not perish. This is where life is. This is what you ought to expect from people like us and pastors and preachers and ministers. Not fear. Lift up Jesus. Lift up the hope of the world. Lift up the faith of life. Lift up the light of life, not darkness. I mean, during a time when there's a plague, you lift up something. You're either going to run around with darkness, telling people how things are bad, or you're going to lift the Son of Man up. It says, even as Moses, verse 14 again. It says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Hallelujah. Verse 15. That whomsoever believeth is the word in him should not perish. Fewer and fewer preachers and are reverting now to that. They are resorting to fear, to darkness, and spreading all this stuff. He says, whosoever believeth. And that's the key. What are we made, or what are we being made to believe in this day? Is it the author of life, the light of the world? Or is it some darkness that is taking everyone over? Now, here's something that is so important. And I'm telling you that we're losing a whole generation of ministers unawares. Because they're preaching some other thing than Jesus. That whosoever believeth in him, what are they making you to believe? Is it Jesus? Hallelujah. Whosoever believeth in him, or is it science? Is the preacher telling you to believe Jesus, or is the preacher telling you to believe science? What is he lifting up? Whosoever believeth in him. Let me tell you one thing. True spirituality. Now hear me very carefully. True spirituality does not consult with science for validation and for verification. True spirituality does not consult with science for validation or for verification. True science consults with spirituality for validation and for verification. Science is not above God. It never will. False science contradicts God. True science aligns itself with God, with the knowledge of God. Hallelujah.